All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Friday to everyone. Hope everyone's having a good start to your weekend. This is Sean with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Wanted to take some time to talk about a few coins that had sold recently on eBay, and just to really drive home the importance of really tempering your excitement when you come across a coin that you think is going to be a genuine type of error or variety. And normally I'm a huge proponent to being able to cherry pick something really nice at a lower amount of money, but not at the expense of buying something that you think is genuine. And without enough experience or education in the coin collecting hobby, a lot of mistakes can be made. Now, it's all reversible. It's all reversible. Like in the case of this 1955D Lincoln Wheat Cent. And I think this is probably more or less also just a lack of experience on the seller's behalf, because judging from what I can see, he's got a really good feedback score. This is not a personal indictment against this seller. Okay, I just want to make that absolutely clear. And hopefully some sort of resolution will come out of this if anybody listens, right? Because not everybody listens to Blue Ridge Silverhound. Yeah, I got 200,000 subs, and that seems like a really good amount of people. But if you think about the amount of people that exist out there just in the United States, and a good deal of them, once they get curious about what a coin looks like and what it is, they begin to make their own assessments. They use Facebook, and believe it or not, there's a couple people that talk about coins on TikTok as well. Not my perennial favorite video hosting site or whatever it is, but people do like that area right there, and it appeals more to the younger audience. So the younger audience, they need a little knock in the head, and when it comes to things like this, to really know exactly what a coin is. Now, to get into numismatics, it's not easy. There's a lot of education involved. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of news, a lot of new things coming out of the woodwork. And sometimes it's really hard to catch up. All right, let alone trying to just really grab a hold of the educational aspect of numismatics can be an overwhelming undertaking by itself. But these type of videos is what I like to do to kind of help mentor a lot of you. I don't know if that's the right word to use, because some of you don't see me as a mentor. You just pass along, you watch a video, and then you leave your thumbs up, thumbs down, and you leave. It's all good. It's all good. That's just the way the social media world works. Everybody wants quick information and all that stuff. So if you don't give it to them within the first 8.5 seconds, I guess you're screwed. But back to this coin before we get too far out of whack. 1955D mid-air Lincoln Wheat Cent. Look, it's crazy. You even got a little surprise face on the actual listing title. Errors front and back. All right, so we're going to take a look at each one of the images. This is not the main image. The main image is actually this one. This is the one that is most enticing to a lot of viewers. It looks like a double struck coin. I mean, seriously, that is exactly what this coin looks like. And we're going to take a look actually at a few things that'll help debunk this as being a genuine, authentic double struck coin. Keep in mind, double struck coins are quite rare, and they're quite valuable too. As you can see, this one sold for $255. So, I mean, there's a lot of money at stake here, whether you're a buyer or seller, and really, you don't want to waste your time with a sale if you know it's going to come back, obviously. So that's why I'm saying that this seller probably didn't know any better as far as what this is. But as you could see kind of like various other devices all turned 90 degrees. You could see, the wheat stalk right here, another one right here. You could see some of the letters in E pluribus unum. It looks like it was struck into the coin, and I use the word looks like. as very loosely in this particular instance. But when we look at the obverse, normally under regular double struck conditions, you'll see some of that double struck, more likely in collar, and whether or not it's a flip over or not, remains to be one of those things as well. But when they're double struck in collar, which means the coin was struck once, it never properly ejected after the strike, and it stayed within the striking chamber, and then it got struck a second time. And because there's a little bit of a hop to the coin at an attempted ejection, sometimes the coin will rotate, and usually the coins do rotate a little bit, and then sometimes they'll flip over, so you get a double struck in that particular regards. But if you look at the front of the coin, there's virtually no double struck anything on here, okay? And that's kind of a red flag. Not to mention that the overall shape of the coin appears to be stretched out right here on this side. And you can also see this damage right here above the word "we." The pictures are just a little bit dark. Here's some close-ups. I think this is really going to paint the picture of what we have here. All right, so you'll notice, like O and 1 is sideways, and you see "sent," but you also notice that the word "sent" is struck into the coin backwards. Under normal, regular, legitimate, double struck type of errors, the words won't be backwards. They won't be mirrored. Because the coin, while double struck twice, and maybe there might be a little rotation, those devices are still going to be in relief. They're not going to be incuse like what you see here. And furthermore, everything is going to be oriented correctly. So it's still going to say "sent," but it's going to be spelled out "CENT" rather than mirrored backwards onto the coin. And then take a look at this right here, where it says "unum." You'll notice that the second quote-unquote strike on this one is incuse. Okay, it's pressing into the coin. It's a depression into the coin. And same for the wheat stalks. Let's see what other pictures. There's the date. More of Lincoln. And then here's another image of the reverse. Okay. So you see these wheat stalks here, which are the supposed doubled areas. These are also incuse as well. So they're pressed into the coin. They're not raised off the coin like they should be. All right. So what do we know about this specific circumstance when we see like what appears to be a double struck coin, but the second strike is all incused? It's all pressed into the coin. Well, that can only mean one thing, and that is a vice job. All right, that's kind of like the general term that you would call something like this. But the actual art of a vice job is simply squeezing a couple of pennies or coins together so that way it could transfer the design onto the host coin. Now, in this particular case, because there's not a lot of what I consider to be like double struck features on the obverse of the coin or the front of the coin with Abraham Lincoln, that this was probably crafted with only two coins. You have this coin and you have a second coin, and generally, you'll put them in like a shop vise, and then you'll squeeze it all the way, as tight as you could get. You can even go a little bit tighter. There are certainly other methods of producing this as well. That's going to be a little bit more effective. But when you're doing any sort of garage vice type of affair with multiple coins, you're going to get a substantial amount of rim damage. Plus, you're also going to get a lot of stretching in this matter all the way around. You're going to have a very unnatural size and shape to the coin after a vice job occurs. It looks wicked as all get out. I'm not disputing that at all. But when you see things like this, you have the main primary strike, which will be in relief, which means it'll be setting up off the coin, raised, where you can actually run your finger across and feel it raised, like the word 1 cent in United States of America. But when you have that second strike with all of the same design elements as another Lincoln wheat cent, only it's depressed into the coin, that's when you know it's a vice job. And typically we would simply refer to these as damaged. These are damaged coins. They have no value other than being an educational piece. Now, some of you are going to say, well, maybe the guy bought it as an educational piece. Fellas, ladies, not for $255. You know, this is something that you could replicate in your own home if you wanted to do that. Now, I'm not an advocate for doing so, but people do buy, you know, reference coins like this, but they're not paying $255 for these coins. And there's 22 bids. So there's 22. I mean, those are bids. They're not individual people. There could be like 6 or 7 people that were bidding on this coin when it finally sold on October 19th, which is just a few days ago. So, you know, there was a lot of interest, but also at the same time, we have a lot of work to do as an educational kind of community. Is that there's a lot of people that need to know more about these things, and they just need to have more information. I know that seems redundant because we live in a world where there's YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok videos and all that great stuff. There's a multitude of websites. There's all the auction sites, Heritage, Great Collections, Legend, Stacksbowers, David Lawrence. I mean, you got it all out there. There's a lot of information to receive. But when you're just simply looking for kind of like the quick, easy cash grab, and you're like, man, this is it. This is the one that's going to save my bacon. And you end up selling something like this. Let's go ahead and talk about the repercussions of such. If you rush too far into it and you don't get the data you need before you can sell something like this, I mean, obviously, you're going to have a return. You're going to have a chargeback. And that's inconvenient, number one. Number two, what if you go and spend all this money before the return happens? A customer has up to, I believe, 90 days to return an item. So let's say you sold this thing for $255 as expected from this listing, and then you go out and spend that money. You spend it on holiday stuff. You spend it on buying groceries and all the things that we need to live. And then 2 months later on down the road, that customer maybe at that point in time had decided, you know, I'm going to send this to Annex Grading and have it come back as a legitimate double struck error, and I could sell it for $500 at that time. People do that. That's called cherry picking. And it comes back as being not authentic, damaged, so on and so forth. And then you have no other choice other than to return it. You don't keep a coin at such a high investment level of $255 and expect it to be worth anything more than maybe 50 cents as an educational piece to your collection. It just doesn't make any sense. So there's a lot of inconveniences involved on both sides. All right, you have the seller that has to accept the return. They got to give the money back, and it can occur anytime within the next 90 days, so on and so forth. And then on the buyer side, you actually have to package it up. You got to package it up really nice and well, and then you got to send it out. You got to send it back to the seller. You got to get in your car. You got to go to the post office. We're in the middle of the holidays right now. There's going to be long lines at the post office. And then, you know, it's just going to be one cluster F, if you guys know what I mean. It's returns in general is incredibly inconvenient for both the seller and the buyer. There's really no winners in any of this. But, you know, I don't know what the story is going to be off of this. I mean, if the buyer decides to keep it as an educational piece, that's probably one of the most expensive educational pieces I've seen. I've seen counterfeit Morgan dollars sell for like $5 in the past. And it's always good to have one of those, you know, as a reference item, especially if you're into a lot of silver stacking and stuff like that. But you know, this is one of those examples that unfortunately comes up very frequently. The Vice Job double struck appearance coin. You know, you get a little bit too far ahead of yourself. You're like, man, I'm gonna go ahead and sell this right now. Strike while the iron's hot and make money. I mean, that is what we do, right? That's why BlueRidgeSilverhound said, go out to the bank, get some coin rolls and look through them and find stuff like this. No, I didn't say that, guys. You have to take the initiative of getting all the information that you can, especially when you're new. When you're new, you have a lot to do. It's not one of those wham bam thank you ma'am type of affairs where you go and you take a couple semi decent pictures, throw it up on eBay, and then cash in. Because if deceiving the public is really what you want to do, it's all going to come back to you. It really is. And you don't want to get into that situation. All right, so you definitely need to know what the deal is with this hobby. You need to know the ins and outs, and you need to be able to feel comfortable with using the resources that are made available to you. Okay, like for instance, we have our live coin Q&A group on Facebook. Come use us. Come send us an email. Whatever you want to do, but use that. Get some information on your coin, and then decide what you want to do after that. Because not knowing ultimately might hurt you. In this case, $255 is not the end of the world, but damn, that'll hurt a little bit. That'll hurt a little. I mean, that's a little bit of a dent into a pocketbook. Considering the fact that, a lot of people, $255 is a car payment, or it pays groceries for 2 weeks, or whatever you want to construe it as. I mean, it's not a small amount of money, but at the same time, it's not the end. Really, it's not. But I wanted to take some time and talk about this, talk a little bit about the informational and educational aspect of kind of like the growing pains of identifying errors and varieties and trying to do something with it. But aside from that, that's really what I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I will be out for the weekend, so you won't be getting the Pocket Change Market Report on Saturday as scheduled. We will be back Monday night with the MMR, the Monday Market Report. And then we're going to continue on from there. I got some work to do with the podcast and all that stuff. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. As we head into the weekend, use your resources, and you guys will do fine. That's all there is to it. You guys take care. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I shall see you guys real soon. Take care.